How did this happen? I'm outside playing video games with my Apple TV.
Apparently, everything's portable if you have a big enough battery.
Well, here's when it all started. I received the Greenworks 300 Watt Power Inverter as a gift. My plan for this gadget was to use it in emergencies. What if I lost power, but it was cold outside? My brilliant idea was to plug an electric blanket into this Greenworks Power Inverter. But in reality, if this was my only source of heat, I'm not sure if I'd survive the night. After testing it out, I started wondering if using a regular blanket and using a cat as a space heater might be more effective. So, what went wrong? Well, I'm not sure. That's why this video is listed as fun and not a review. I'm merely documenting what I did. I don't know enough about electricity to properly critique this device. A big part of my confusion is the difference between pure sine wave and modified sine wave. The Greenworks inverter outputs the latter. What does that mean? I'm not sure. But when I plugged in an electric blanket, the house started to smell a little strange. It smelled like plastic. That's when I noticed that the temperature controller was getting unusually warm. Meanwhile, the blanket didn't feel very warm. That's very arbitrary, so I decided to use the scientific method. First, I neatly folded the electric blanket and then used a thermometer to get a base temperature reading. 72 degrees Fahrenheit. That seems right. This test was done indoors where the thermostat was set to 71 degrees. Then I plugged the blanket into the wall and set the temperature to maximum. The temperature controller felt normal, not unusually warm, but inside the blanket it was a toasty 110 degrees. Clearly the electric blanket was working. That's when I repeated the test, but using the Greenworks inverter as a power supply. Once again, it reached 110 degrees Fahrenheit. The controller was much warmer than before though. I don't understand why this is happening. The electric blanket says 130 watts, which should be well within the range of the 300 watt Greenworks Power Inverter. I even used an outlet tester, but I'm not sure what I learned from that test though. When plugged into the Greenworks inverter, the tester showed an open ground. I thought an outlet was just an outlet, but apparently there's more to it than just that. After some additional tests with the electric blanket in a cold garage, I'm thinking that I need something better. Perhaps I should just get a Jackery, as the Amazon listing says, pure sine wave. But the idea here was to repurpose my Greenworks batteries. That's when I decided to do something a little more fun. The majority of Photics TV subscribers are here because of Crossy Road videos. So, how could this video be more interesting to gamers? That's when I had an epiphany. I want to play Crossy Road and Transformers Tactical Arena outside. While I could use my iPhone or iPad to accomplish the same task, those screens are too small. I want to create something big and inviting. So, the plan was simple. Take a TV and plug it into the Greenworks Power Inverter. To make that TV play games, simply plug in an Apple TV. Surprisingly, I was able to get this crazy idea to work. Here I am, playing Crossy Road. And here's Transformers Tactical Arena. But that one didn't work because I didn't connect the Apple TV to the internet. It was starting to rain, so this crazy experiment was cut short. In general, I don't know how I feel about this setup. While I was able to get it to work, it didn't feel very safe to me, especially with the rain. Perhaps one day I'll try again with a better power generator, something that outputs pure sine wave, and perhaps the weather will be nicer too.